Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a great Wednesday evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from. And for episode number 477, for those of you keeping score out there. And joining me tonight in the co-hosting chair is the vivacious, the loquacious, and the audacious Holly Phillippe, who's on time tonight, folks. It is a miracle, folks. Hey, Holly.
Watch out. Winters are coming early. It may snow. I don't know.
Is that kind of like some weird version of Groundhog Day? Yeah.
I am here and I am on time, and that is scary.
Well, I'm glad you are on time, Holly. And of course, we're all thrilled you're going to be here in Lexington tomorrow after your sojourn into Indiana. So,
Yes.
definitely looking forward to seeing you again. And yes, we're going to have a great show tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. And the chat room's building up very quickly. We got a lot of folks in here. We got the one and only Dan Clefstead in the house. DK
In the
himself.
house.
Yes.
And we also got.
we also Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva live podcast.
Yes. Vamp Chat's in there.
Yes, and they had a great episode tonight, by the way, with Jessica Lindsay, who will be on the show this fall. So if you want to get to a chance to find out all about Jessica and, of course, listen to a great podcast, check out tonight's episode on Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva. And LJ Mack is in there in the house. Yeah, there's a bunch rolling in there. I can't keep track of them all. They're just rolling.
Well, and then I have a first-time listener, my cousin Fritzy is in there. Hello, Fritzy.
Hello, Fritzy. Hello, Fritzy. Yes, we love to get shout outs to our listeners. And of course, yes, if you got the chat room open, do leave questions and comments there. Holly keeps a close eye on that. We do take comments and questions, of course. And yes, looking there. Yeah, they said Jessica did amazing on tonight's podcast.
Fantastic.
That with Dan and Eva. So I did manage to see that. And it's going to be a great show tonight. We got a fantastic guest coming up for you in a few minutes when we begin our guest segment of the show. But as always, we wanted to give you the updates on the Imaginarium because the Star Chamber Show, of course, affiliated with the Imaginarium Convention. Keep spreading the word, and give us a follow. Star Chamber Show can be found, of course, on Facebook, on X, on Blue Sky, and on Instagram. So if you are on those platforms, please give us a follow. Keep spreading the word. Of course, you can always listen to the live show, of course, on Wednesday nights most of the time. Sometimes we do a Thursday. But on the Thursdays, we do distribute the show to all kinds of other platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all kinds of places. So
we be everywhere.
So yeah, we'll bring you up to the news. It's been another very busy week of editions. Busy. And of course, last week, I do want to reiterate that we did announce that Heather Graham will be coming to Imaginarium as guest of honor, as one of our guests of honor, because we now are doing more than one. We've for 13 years, we finally last year started doing two guests of honor. But Heather, of course, had a medical emergency in her family right at the cusp of the convention last year, so she wasn't unable to make it. But the good news is it's more of a postponement on our end because she is committed to coming as our guest of honor next summer. And of course, she's amazing multi-genre author, sold over 60 million books, USA Today, New York Times bestseller, multi award winner. I mean, just a list of awards that she has had, and a great guest. And we have done one show with her in the Star Chamber Show. If you look back on some of our
and we will get her back on to get all of her updates.
Yep, we will get her back on. But we also announced several spotlighted guests and panelists, including have a great announcement today. But I'll give you the whole group coming for the first time to Imaginarium, and also a Bluegrass Writers Coalition member, fellow BWC member. Chris Helvey is coming as a spotlighted guest, and he's an award-winning author, editor, publisher, and book reviewer. Absolutely great guy. You all are going to really enjoy meeting him, and I think he's going to be just fantastic in our programming. Really knows his stuff. And we also welcome for the first time author Alyssa Davis, who will be participating as a panelist and returning after a couple-year absence from Imaginarium, but she's back. Catherine Sullivan is coming back as an official panelist. We also have Jocelyn Waddle coming as also Holly. Holly had a great time visiting with Jocelyn at the Conference of Writers in Frankfurt, and
Yes.
they had a great visit together. And I'm glad that Jocelyn was able to come to Imaginarium as a panelist, and it will be her first visit. Of course, the awesome 1/3 of the literary triumvirate, T. Lee Harris, author, publisher, artist, and graphic designer extraordinaire, is coming. And of course, he's an Imaginarium favorite. And then also becoming an Imaginarium favorite and currently in the chat room is author and librarian LJ Mack in the house. Coming back as an official panelist. And of course, that rascal author, editor, cosplayer Clayton Barnett. He's coming. He's going to be back with his the writers group known as the Lemures. Yes, those fellows out in the Creatives Alley. What a group they are. Yeah, a big chunk of them come all the way from Iowa, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
And if you look at a map, Iowa to Louisville, Kentucky, that's a pretty good distance.
And I tried to talk them into getting a party bus this year, and they actually were considerate. So they may show up in a party bus.
I think they actually need to. Well, since the Holiday Inn Louisville East does allow our 4-legged family members, you can bring them, and we bring ours.
We bring ours.
I think they ought to bring an actual lemur. There was nothing.
Oh man, wouldn't that be awesome?
Literature that said that lemurs are not allowed. So maybe they could bring an actual lemur.
Great idea. Great idea.
That would be something for the ages. that'd be Imaginarium story for the ages. And then we also have today, and this is an announcement I was very happy to make, is author, publisher, filmmaker, and podcaster Lynn Tincher is coming back as a spotlight guest. And I will also mention that Lynn is the founder and director of the Pen Crafters Mentorship Program, of which the amazing Dan Klestad is one of those mentors, in addition to leading the John B. Tincher and James L. Calvert Independent Literary Foundation. So, yeah, Lynn has a lot of things going on. Yeah, and of course, from the Ground Up Books, 2 locations of her bookstore in LaGrange, Kentucky, and Shepherdsville, Kentucky. So, yeah, Lynn has a lot going on when it comes to
Yes, she does.
She does. And then, of course, last but not least, I want to invite you all to come to the Bullitt County Authors Fair, and that is up there in the Shepherdsville area this Saturday. We had a great episode last week featuring the founder and director of it, Leah Pugh. So go back and listen to last week's episode, and you can get the whole lowdown on the Bullitt County Authors Fair. And it's a great event, and I shall be there. And fingers crossed, you never know. There's a chance that Holly will make it. Can't promise. Depends on how she feels after her trip.
I'm going to try, but yeah, I think you can get to see our ugly mugs.
Yes. And I think Tony Akery just posted that he's going to be there too. So this is going to be great because I don't think he had said that. I don't think he was aboard as of last week, but I think I saw a post he's coming. So he is a late addition. That would be awesome. So we can definitely go over there and visit old Tony Akery, previous 9-time Imaginarium Toastmaster and Imagination Hall of Famer.
Yes.
He's a great guy. So what have you got on your plate, Holly? I mean, I know you've got quite a lot going on, but
I've had a lot on my plate. Mom's tumor on her finger was not cancer, so she got her stitches out today. She got a full release, so she's back up and at 'em and her full glory. And I'm coming home. I'm coming back to Kentucky, and I can't wait to see the blue sign.
Yes, and I think there's a strong possibility that Holly will get to go out to get sushi tomorrow.
Yes.
Unless Holly says, "Oh, I just can't do it. I don't feel good." We're definitely gonna get
the
Holly
sushi calls. The sushi calls.
Sushi calls.
Yes,
so
and then we are busy literally the next few days. So yeah, it's
insane.
It'll be a crazy few days. I won't even catch a breath until I don't know when I'll catch a breath. I don't know.
We'll just have to declare next Tuesday a day off. I mean, just that's it. We're just taking the day off.
And then we go hide in a hole or corner somewhere.
Something like that. Something like that.
But Ritu says in the chat that a guest at a Tennessee hotel actually brought his lemur along.
There we go. There we
Holy
go.
wait till I tell the lemurs.
Oh yeah, that's like throwing down the gauntlet, at them. That's the challenge. Yeah, if it's been done, then there's no reason why. They,
I will send an email out tomorrow,
yeah,
and
to
I will
Clayton.
stir
Yes.
them up like a bunch of bees.
Yep. Or I forget what the name for a group of lemurs is. There's always a
I
word.
can't remember. I'll have to look that up.
There
But yeah,
is one. There is one, but I can't remember
there
off the top.
is one group of.
So,
Let me look it up.
group of lemurs. Yeah. So
A
we'll see what
group
that
of
is.
lemurs is a conspiracy,
A
can also be
conspiracy.
referred to as a troop or a mob. That sounds
Nice.
about right.
That sums up. That sums up Clayton, Joe, and the gang.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's too good. But but yeah, we'll go ahead and get you the folks that brought you tonight's show, and then we will begin our awesome guest segment.
Yes.
Our guest is on deck and waiting. So yeah, we will get on to that. And tonight, the folks that brought you tonight's show are Sandy Lender, the one and only genre
The
blender, who's
genre blender.
really just posting great stuff on our Sandy Says Read channel. And then, of course, Ren Garcia with the famous question, author, and then, of course, the author of the League of Elders series. Highly recommend it. Extensive series. Great, great writer. Great guy. Yeah, check him out and let him know you heard about him on the show. But first, here's a bit from Sandy.
Start Chamber listeners already know that author Sandy Lender offers you a variety of spec fiction and epic fantasy adventures to help you escape reality. Did you know she also offers positive, quirky book discussions and reviews on her BookTube channel, Sandy Says Read? Check out the Sandy Says Read channel on YouTube for over 600 book chats to entertain you. The channel includes the Indie Book Spotlight and the DIY for Creatives playlists, along with others to help you find videos and essays that pique your literary interests. Subscribe for free to the Sandy Says Read channel in time for the Monday night upload and join the community where our motto is, you can always find something good in a book.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sandy. I got to talk to Sandy on the phone yesterday. It was great to catch up with her. She's doing well. She's doing well, folks. And here's a little bit from Ren Garcia with the famous question.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Yes, Ren Garcia. Yes, we are.
Yes. With unequivocally, yes, Ren. And yes, before we get into the segment, I do want to leave one more very important reminder for you folks. We have our early bird discounts for 5 more days. Monday is the last day if you want to save big on event tickets or expo spaces for Imaginarium. So you want to get that done before Monday. Well, on Monday is okay too, but the 15th is the final day. And I'll give you a good reason to come to Imaginarium, and that is our guest tonight, who you are about to meet. I'm very excited about this, and as is Holly. And tonight, we have a fantastic guest who is both an award-winning author and also a literary agent. She is the author of Kara's Dreams, a picture book about being resilient in the face of adversity. And she also represents writers of kidlit, literary fiction, general fiction, and historical fiction for the D4EO Literary Agency. And so it is my honor and pleasure to welcome aboard to the Star Chamber Show for the first time, Ritu Anand. And Ritu, you are on. Your mic should be live.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. I'm happy to be here and it's fun.
Absolutely. I've really enjoyed getting to learn little more about you since Dan had told me about your work, and I'm really glad that you're going to be joining us next summer at Imaginarium. But this is going to be your first visit, and a lot of the guests, this will be the first time they've gotten to meet you tonight. So, give us a little. We'll start with your writing side. Give us a little introduction about yourself and your writing.
Yeah, sure. I've always loved writing because it's a natural expression of me. I Every time I felt sad about the world in some way, I would squeeze myself into the pages of my private journal and I would write it down. And happy, sad, all of those moments were just between me and me from childhood. And I've been a very introvertish kind of a person. And then only as I was getting older, I was becoming a little extrovertish. But there was always this happy and sad side. Both sides live inside of me. So I had to I had to honor um, all sides of my inside, if you will. And I had to do it on the page. So at the most odd times in my life, like in the middle of a math class when I'm in fifth grade, one of my classmates still reminds me. She says the math teacher caught me writing a poem underneath the desk. And I just didn't understand why the math teacher pulled me out of class and punished me because, back then I grew up in the 70s, right, and 80s. They could slap you, and it was allowed back then. And
Right.
I went to an all girls Catholic school in New Delhi, India. So my math teacher admonished me. So I still don't forget, that time frame, that how inconvenient. My inspiration was striking me, and I needed to do something about it. And her timing wasn't right. My timing was perfect. And so it's just something natural to me. If I don't write, I feel very sad. So I must
And
write.
I found it very interesting that you were on your own journey and that you had enough self, I don't motivation, I guess you would call that, to
Yeah.
because you were in a Catholic school. You were you were raised in that environment, but you wanted to read your holy book, what's it to your culture, to what was around you. And could you talk a little bit about that? What I mean, who told you about your holy book and the gurus, and or did you just hear it from other students or parents, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I was surrounded by my culture growing up in India. From kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, I went to Mater Dei Convent. It's an all-girls Catholic school. Even though it's Catholic school, but it's secular. So on the surface, of course, it's secular, but we were disallowed from speaking our own language at many
Oh,
times in within the confines of the school. And so we were required to speak in English. So English was pretty much my first language, and I felt so removed from um, my own language, which I didn't know how to speak, read, or write.
oh,
And
wow.
I was dying inside that I needed to be able to connect with the words in my holy book. I had a prayer room. It's very common in
Yeah.
the Sikh culture. Every household has a prayer room designated
Uh-huh.
specifically for the holy book. And so I was very drawn to that. I grew up around it. And everyone other than me could speak very fluently, and I couldn't. So it was this burning desire inside of me. I had to know it. And so I took it upon myself.
See, that's amazing. I applaud you for that, because you understand then that was almost like an incident of colonization, honestly,
Yeah,
where taking your culture away from you, and that is so awesome to me that you stood your ground, and you looked upon it and did your own investigating and took it upon yourself. That's amazing. Well done.
yeah.
Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Well
much.
done.
Yeah, back in the 1800s, Maharaja Ranjit Singh was the king of Punjab, and that's a state in India which is north of New Delhi. And he was able to, when India didn't have its own it wasn't a country at the time. It was more like there are so many different chiefdoms throughout the nation,
Right.
and it was a country of different chiefdoms, which is why the East India Company, when they first arrived and they were looking to trade with India, and then eventually they colonized it, that was the biggest advantage they took of this fractured environment, so to speak. And they,
Right.
they said that they were trying to unify the country, but of course we know. And
Yeah.
so it's really under under Maharaja Ranjit Singh's rule, that he was able to unify 12 different provinces in the northern part of India. And the British really couldn't bargain with him because he was way too strong, and he was very well established. And it was during his time that the scholars gained such respect throughout the world, and the Punjabi culture, the religion, the language, most importantly, the linguistics department of the one of the most famous British linguists, G.W. Lightner. He writes an 800-page book in which he talks about the fact that there were so many missiles, there were so many, by missile, MISL, I mean, and that means it's a school. There were so many schools in every household, every neighborhood, every township. And there was so much, because education is a very big part of India, you know.
Right.
That's one of the most important. It's the bedrock of society there. And so he states it, that there were the greatest number of scholars in the world were from the state of Punjab. And
Mm.
and so those books were being burned at the time the
Oh,
mutiny of 1857 happened. And and that's one of the biggest inspirations for me. When I came to learn of all this, I said I need to write a picture book which says I am my language. And because I was 7 years old when I took it upon myself, I just came across a translator, which we're speaking of pre-Google days. There was no Google at the time.
right.
And I only knew English, and I came across this translator at my aunt's, my mom's older sister's home, her library. And that translator on one column had written in Roman English, on the other column it was in Punjabi. So I came
Oh,
across one of the Punjabi storybooks, and I started to translate and connect with the English with the Punjabi, and I taught myself how to read Punjabi. And then
wow. Because that's not an easy language to learn when you're coming from English.
Right.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so I talk about that. It's that main character is little me, and
Oh,
so I've named her Sujit, and that's what I Am My Language is about. It's going to be coming out this fall.
Yeah.
well, I
I
definitely will be checking that out, because Stephen knows I love Indian culture, food, the religion. Yeah,
Thank,
that I'll
thank
definitely be
you,
checking it out.
Yeah, I will
thank
too.
you.
And yeah, one of our authors that we work with, Vic, his name is Vitesh Anaker. His family is
Yes.
from from India. So yeah, he's very dear to us, and listening
he's
to
near
you,
and dear to my heart.
you talked about the emphasis on education and how important that is, in
Yes.
to families, from India and all. It just I can hear that all through, and the book looks fantastic, and I guess from what I saw, it's your third book, and then you had a nice prologue that you sent to me when I was reading it over, and it looks
Yes,
like it's gonna be
I've
a
read it too.
very powerful
Thank
book. Oh, by the way, you and I do have something in common when it comes to Catholic schools. I went to Catholic school from
Yes.
kindergarten and then grade 1 through 12. So,
Oh,
ever since then, I try to avoid ever wearing a uniform ever again. So
that is right.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh yes,
that,
and I had strict nuns and everything. Yes, I know. I have many
oh,
stories.
yes. Wow, wonderful.
but, but I'd love to. Yeah, I can't wait to read this when it comes out. But you said it's a describe the way the book is because you describe it as a picture book. So I'm
Yes.
sure some of the
Yes.
listeners are wanting to hear about that a little bit.
Yes. So it starts off with the prologue, and then the picture book begins with the main character, who is about 7 years old. She's sitting with her aunt, who she calls Buddy Mummy, which means my big mother. She saw her as her big mother. It's in fact her mom's older sister, and so she was prolific in Punjabi language and had several storybooks and maintained a library in her home. And so she is visiting her, and opening scene of the book is when she is huddled with her and is reading aloud to her in Punjabi. And as the girl listens, Surjit, she is really drawn to the musicality of the words that flow out of Barima's mouth as she is rolling her tongue, and the sound, it resonates with Surjit. And there's a competition coming up where she can actually display to the world that she is learning her language, and she wants to take that opportunity, but she is unsure of herself. And so much of the book is devoted towards her actual practice of teaching it to herself, but it is only by happenstance when she comes across a translator while she's helping her Barima clean the library, that she's gobsmacked when she comes across the translator, and then she just goes off running with it, and then declares as to what her plan is. And until then, she's being shy about it, but then she becomes she roars literally on the stage, because by then she's practiced so much and gone over it again and again, and has made several mistakes and been corrected by her Parima over this time frame. And then on the stage, when she's able to overcome all of those trials, she really feels victorious, and she truly feels how deep within her this angst, this desire was there, and she was able to honor it. And also, there's a story within a story, so it's like concentric circles. It's the story of another girl whose name is Suhi, who wins a kite competition that her Barima is reading the story about. And so she draws inspiration from the only girl who wins amongst and against all odds between all the boys that are participating in the kite competition, and she's the only girl who wins it. So she really draws power from that as well. So it's juxtaposed with that inner story, as well as her own her own undying desire. So I compare this girl to a monarch. It took actually 2.5 years to bring this project to a completion. And the reason is because it was so difficult for me to come to terms with the concept of the monarch and how it's related. It's a real a complex scientific fact, and it baffles scientists to today, as to how, without even having genetic markers on their body or no predisposition, how is it possible for a monarch of the next generation to go back and complete the journey wheresoever the previous generation left off? Because there's one generation that lays the eggs in the milkweed plants, and then the next generation tries to complete the journey all the way from the forests of North Carolina up to Mexico. And this is sorry, down to Mexico. So from the colder region to the warmer place, and they traverse this on a yearly basis. And how are they
Oh
able to
dear.
do this? And it takes them generations to be able to get there. And this is a complete mystery to the scientists. And so I kind of connected myself with that, the life of a monarch, in some ways, that no one ever told her to do this, right? No, none of my aunts, my grandparents, before, after, aunts, uncles, no one actually told me about this. But how is it possible that, like, I had this natural desire that I needed this. I needed to know my language. And so, yes, I was self-propelled, but in some ways, I feel that maybe I'm a monarch. I don't know.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
that is amazing, and I can't help but think that too. That when you talk about monarchs, you can also see almost a double meaning in the story. That you have monarch the butterfly, but then also monarch in terms of its relation to sovereignty or a sovereign ruler. And
Which I have
I
to and I have to
say that.
inject something real quick. And monarch butterfly is my favorite butterfly, and
Mhm.
I know
It's
it probably
yes,
won't please you, but our kitties are named Queen Victoria and Queen
no,
Victoria, Prince
Prince
Albert,
Albert.
and then we have Prince Leopold.
Oh
Yeah, yeah,
my God.
but but
How appropriate.
well, I
Because I
wasn't getting
love the
at I wasn't.
Victorian era. That's why.
But but I wasn't getting at those particular monarchs. What I meant by a double
No.
meaning to monarch, though, is this is a
Yes.
story
Yes.
Yes.
about a character that is taking sovereignty over their own
Yes.
Right.
world, their own culture, retaking the sovereignty that
Yes.
was taken from them. So, in a way, your character
That was stripped
has the
away.
kind of dynamic of a monarch as a sovereign, as well as monarch as a butterfly. So I think it's really interesting that to listen to you talk about the story because the
Yes.
character arc certainly is taking control of
Goes
her
from
own
like the
world and culture.
cocoon,
Yeah.
goes
Mhm.
from the cocoon to reborn,
Yeah.
the transformation,
Yeah.
Yeah,
rebirth.
she's been morphed. It's metamorphosis.
Yes.
It's amazing. Yeah, I was just looking very closely at a crawling caterpillar the other day, and I was saying to myself, it takes just 1 second, right?
Yes.
If I had put my foot on that caterpillar, right, by mistake, can you
Mhm.
Yes.
imagine that I would have stopped a life from coming into being? Not
Sure.
just a life, but a butterfly's life, which hasn't yet come about.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it is so, I mean, you learn so much when you look closely at nature.
At the
Mhm.
world around us. Yes.
You do.
Yeah,
And we are nature. We've been stripped from
yes,
nature. We
yeah,
don't belong in concrete jungles. We belong in nature.
yes,
And the illnesses that we have now, and the vitamin D deficiencies,
yeah,
and they didn't have all that years ago because
right.
why? They got more sunshine. They were in nature.
Yeah, Yeah, that's right. We're we're blessed to have this life, and it's magical to be able to
Yes,
have birth and to have this high intellect, and we think that we're all that wonderful and so on, but really, being in nature and being in balance with nature is so essential, right?
it is.
Hmm.
um
It's
yeah,
essential to our well-being and those around us.
Hmm.
yeah, thank you
No,
for
Yeah,
that's
and
sharing
like
that.
Bam chat with Dan and Eva, it's Eva in the chat room said most people just move too fast and think the wrong things are important. Amen. Because you know what? When you're laying on that deathbed, things take a whole new perspective, don't they? You
Yeah,
know, you think about hindsight's always 2020, but we need to not take for granted what we have that's blessings before, that are before
mhm.
us now, and live in the moment, right? Because we don't know, tomorrow is borrowed. We don't know if tomorrow's going to exist.
yeah,
So, we should live in the moments.
that's right.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, and that's a part of the story of the butterfly too, because as you said, it's a mystery about how each generation knows what to do, and it's
Yes.
very much in the moment sort of thing, as they travel and traverse that area from, as you described, from North Carolina down to Mexico, and it's extraordinary and gets to a I think even like the spiritual dimension in a way, and I'm curious as to if your book does get a little bit into the matters of the faith, the religion, the spirituality of like you mentioned that that you were in a Catholic school growing up, and English was
yeah,
your first language. But then, as far as discovering like the Hindu faith, which I find fascinating, especially
yes.
Yes.
and it's so vastly different from the Catholic it's monotheistic, and the Hindu faith is just blows my mind about how many
I was saying, and then you
spiritual
got with me,
entities
and
and
I love all
gods, and
faiths. So
yeah,
Yeah.
and but all the,
I'm
the
So,
dynamics
multi.
of
Yeah.
that. But yeah,
yeah.
talk a little bit about that. Does that all come into it a little bit in this story?
So,
Yeah.
so I'm actually not a Hindu, but I'm a Sikh, and
I speak. Okay.
Okay.
Sikhism is a monotheistic religion,
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
and
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, it is.
we have a holy book, and it came into being in the year 1469 with the birth of Guru Nanak, who was the founder of the religion. And he spoke against the practice of, caste system. He spoke against
Mhm.
the practice of putting um, a widow in the same funeral pyre as that of her husband. The practice of sati, all of these things are illegal now, but at the time in the 14th century it was still going on. And not only was he a voice against certain social customs and practices that were prevalent at the times, but he was a messenger
Mhm.
of love, the universalhood of brotherhood of mankind, and 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 it's a very, very universal religion. It's a very open and lenient in so many respects. And I won't say a word about organized religion because it is organized, but I
Yep.
will just stay with the holy book because of its message. It's so pure,
Mhm.
and
And I have not
anyone.
read your holy book, and I would love to read. There is English translations of
Yes,
it, and
yes.
Mhm.
do you feel that though they have taken some from it, during because some things couldn't be translated, or do you feel that they're probably pretty good translations to where you still get the spiritual aspect of it comes across correctly?
Yeah, you know something, it is a very relational God. And the Holy Book reveals itself to you. And it largely depends upon your relationship with the One. You know,
Mhm.
as and how you read, your understanding of it reveals itself to you. It it's really a function of it's an experiential relationship, if you will. And at the most basic and fundamental level, there is one and only one God. We
Right.
all call him by different names,
Right.
right? And that is the basic tenet of the religion, that there is one and only one God. His name is the truth. And
Uh-huh.
it is very simple, and yet so relatable to our everyday person. And so, when you say about translations and all of that has been done, it's been done into so many languages. Ultimately, you can read the same thing a zillion times, and it can go over your head, honestly, you know.
Mhm.
But
Right.
when you truly connect at a deeper level, um, uh, only one word is enough. You don't need more than one word, you know. It
Just open. You gotta read it with the open mind and
Yeah.
be open. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Open
And
your heart. Yeah.
yes, and just connect at the most basic and fundamental level. and
Makes
uh, and
sense.
and then it starts to just reveal itself, and your understanding becomes deeper and more connected, and you start to see the differences between good and bad, and you start to see, you know uh, the difference between truth and falsehood.
Right.
It starts to reveal itself to you, and it's just basic.
It's amazing to me that all over the world, that way before Google, way before the internet, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There was thousands and thousands and thousands of religions, right?
yeah,
Based on one God
yeah,
and truths, good, bad. You shouldn't do this. Everybody has a conscience. We're all related. We all go back to a common ancestor. So,
right.
we all have that in common anyway. But I still believe we are connected with this energy. I believe in energy. I believe in this around us, our auras. I believe we're all connected. And we all have this minded, so many of us, billions of people with a monolithic religion. And
Mhm.
it's
Right.
fascinating the differences that you could read, but yet it all means the same thing. The core values are the same.
Exactly.
And this came about from people that are a million miles apart, that have never met, never talked, but yet created these religions that are so much the same. It's amazing to me. I find it fascinating, and I love learning because, like I said, there's good in every religion,
Yeah.
and I don't believe no, not one is got it perfectly correct, but I believe there's good in everyone, and so I just find it fascinating. I love learning about different
No, I
religions.
like comparative religions, and I always do find it fascinating when you encounter the monotheistic
Yeah.
faiths, because looking at a lot of the cultures I look at worldwide for a lot of my writing, a lot of them polytheistic, a lot of them, a lot of animism and
Well, the
spiritual
Hindus, there's
spirit things.
so
There's
many
a lot
gods.
of
I mean,
things, and so I find it fascinating when a monotheistic faith emerges, and like the
yes,
Zoroastrians in Persia being one,
Yeah.
obviously, with the
yes,
the Hebrews, with Yahweh and everything, and then of course with your
yeah.
faith. And I think it's fascinating to look at the emergence of the monotheistic type faiths that have come up in the world, and the similarities that there are between them. Now that is kind of a preface to my question. Yeah, actually, with knowing that you are of the Sikh faith, did that help at all a little bit with growing up in a Catholic school with a Catholic environment? The idea, the concept of one God, did
One God.
that help make it a little easier existing, in that kind of environment?
And
Or
Jesus' teachings are very
yeah,
much like,
Yeah.
good, do good
Yeah.
unto others, like a
yeah,
Buddhist
A-
teaching.
Absolutely. We had the
Mhm.
St. Francis of Assisi Chapel in
mhm,
in our building, and so I would often go and just sit, and because it was between our classes, and just just close my eyes and just pray, because I just referred to God as God.
Mhm.
To me, I saw nothing in terms of a figure. God doesn't have a figure. And so, um, he's formless, and
He's a spiritual being.
yeah,
Yep.
definitely. The only thing is that there's a direct relationship with the one. You don't need a mediator by any means.
Right.
So there's no one who has, we all have to undergo our own karma, and it's all right
Yep.
here, right? Good, bad, it's all here. And we end up experiencing everything that our deeds, show us the results of. So it's very interesting that, although I was surrounded by the Christian faith, and our nuns and all used to visit often, and we would, visit them, but with tremendous reverence for all religions, because
Mhm.
this is the number one thing that Sikhism has taught me, that do not judge anyone, and
Huh?
focus on being open minded and also respecting all world religions. And that is the number one thing that I learned from Sikhism, that it's because of that open mindedness that I was able to embrace anyone and everyone.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is.
Oh, it
It's
absolutely
beautiful.
is. No, I
And I
just think that's
totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm all about the karma. Like I said, what you put out returns to you. You do bad, it's going to return to you. You do good, it will return to you. So yes, I'm a heavy believer, as Stephen knows, in karma.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
she is. Can vouch. I can vouch for that. But yeah, I find that really interesting, considering your upbringing and being in school, there in Catholic school especially. That's really interesting, and the kind of insights that you have from that. And I was curious,
Yeah.
how they reflect in your writing and your work too. But now this is your third book. I would like to give you a chance to
Yes.
go over your first two books, because your first was an award-winning book. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about your earlier works that folks might be able to get right now.
Yeah, definitely. So I volunteered for 5 years at a single gender all boys school in Sarasota, where I live, for half the year. And there, it's called Visible Men Academy. That school, it's a charter school. And when I started volunteering there, I was teaching alongside the fourth grade teacher. He now is the Dean of Student Affairs, but at the time he was there as a fourth grade. And I would assist him because they were short of teachers and they weren't able to hire so many. And I learned a lot by way of, I guess I've always had this teaching bone within me, because I've always, even as a kid, a 7, 8 year old, I used to gather together all my neighbors, and I would teach them. And in fact, in I Am My Language, you will see that I'm pretending that I know my language at that time. So I've gathered together. That's the second scene, actually, where I've gathered together these kids, and they're all nodding away, and they're like, "Wow, you know your language." And meanwhile, I'm like singing gibberish. so that's the second scene. Anyway, so coming back to here, I felt very strongly when I visited these students that they come from disillusioned backgrounds, fractured backgrounds, and I wanted to do better. And so I was teaching them. I was connecting with them at a very like a very very base level, if you will. I was sitting, for example, with a student, and while I was tutoring him, he just looked into my eyes. He made me stop what I was doing, and he said, "I want to ask you, Miss Ritu, um, my mother cleans homes can I have her come to your home? Will you employ her?
Oh.
So I am in the middle of a tutoring lesson with him, and that's what's on his mind at the time.
Oh.
And so this is the kind of environment, and it brings tears to me even while I'm talking to you about it. But these children were my inspiration for Kara's dreams.
Mm.
And the day I wrote, I sat down. I just couldn't stop. My pen was flowing on that page like like water. It was like from a river, uh, and I just kept going. Essentially, the verse in the Guru Granth Sahib says, "Pavan Guru." Pavan means wind. Uh, Wind is the guru. Pani Pita, water is father.
What is it again? Me, help me.
Pani, Pani is water.
Pani,
Yeah,
Pani.
Pani is father. Pani Pita,
Okay.
Mata
Pani
Dharth.
Pata.
Yes, Mata Dharth Mahat. Uh, Dharti, Dharth Mahat is the earth, is the mother, right?
Yes.
And Mata Dharth Mahat, Divis Raat, day and night are like midwives taking care of nature all day
Beautiful.
and all night. And Divisra Dui Dai Daya, Khele Saga Jagat, they are making sure that all the creatures living in and under this umbrella called the planet Earth are happily playing. This is a playground. Essentially, that's what this earth is. It's a playground. And we
Oh,
are all children, and we're supposed to be having fun.
we have destroyed that though. That's the problem. We have destroyed that. We're destroying her, Mother Earth, and most people don't respect her anymore, and it's terrible. But in the other aspect, I did want to make a tidbit. You were talking about how that pulled at your heartstrings. He was asking if you would come help his mother.
Yeah.
There's two sides to that coin. It's also looking at it from a view of, it gives me chills thinking about it. It's a different world, right?
Yeah.
Here, people take everything for granted. Most people take a lot of people, I'm going to say, take things for granted. A lot of our children take things for granted. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
In that aspect, this child is looking to have help for his mother. He's thinking of his mother, not a PlayStation, not an Xbox, not a new game he wants, or new clothes he wants. He's thinking of his mother and her well-being.
Yes.
That's a whole other aspect. And I think that's beautiful. I I
Right.
I I really think that's beautiful that he was putting his mother before material items. So
Yes.
there's a beauty in that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Such a beautiful soul. And I'm
Yes.
so happy that after spending 8 months of tutoring with him, his reading level went up by 63%.
Well
With,
Wow.
done.
Well done.
Well done.
yeah, the
He was
diagnostics was like,
determined. The determination. That's
yeah.
that's awesome.
There are
Love it.
countless, so many good people out there. They really give themselves and they give their time. And that's what's needed, you know. Yeah.
Mhm.
True. True.
Most definitely. Definitely.
So when did you move here? At what age did you move to
To the
America?
US. I was 17 when I came to the US.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was 17. I went to high school. Well, I had started high school. Sorry, I had started 12th grade. I was there from kindergarten to 12th grade. So I started there. The school academic year begins in the month of April. And then we break in the month of May, because then it starts to get extremely hot. So then we break in May, and then we reconvene in July, because in July you have the rainy season, the monsoons.
Right.
So when I broke in May, we just came to the U.S. to New York for a vacation, and by then we had already received our green card the preceding year. And so then the following year, again, I was under the impression that we're just coming for vacation and going back. But my dad wanted to, he was an industrialist and a textile manufacturer. And so he wanted to explore the market here. And he said, no, we're going to be here. And so I had to do 12th grade again. Not again, like a continuation. Basically, I was
Right.
on
But
vacation
what a
there.
culture shock. Wow.
Huge. And I ended
Wow.
up having a 4-month vacation, basically, instead of a 2-month vacation, because school starts in September here. So
Well, there's
then
a bonus. You get a 4-month vacation.
I ended up
Yeah, at
having a
least you had
4-month
that, but still
vacation.
the culture shock.
Right,
It
It
was
was,
right.
massive.
oh, I
My
can't imagine.
my
Yeah,
heart broke, like leaving all my friends behind and
Right.
all
absolutely.
that. Yeah. But then I graduated with 98.6 index.
Well done.
All
Well done.
of that. Yeah, lots of AP
So was
credits
you
and
writing
stuff.
in high school too? I mean, did you join like writing groups? Did you, how did that turn out?
Yeah,
I
creative
was
writing
in
type.
in college or in high school. I was just there for that 1 year, and I
Okay.
had AP Shakespeare and AP Math and
Yes.
AP Bio. So for AP Shakespeare, I used to write there, and then I joined in the St. John's University, where I was for undergrad. There, I was in a number of different honor societies, and also there was a student run magazine. So I used to be a part of the
Cool.
editorial there. And
Well, that's neat.
yeah, so it was fun.
So did you find, I mean, was you lucky enough to find that people were nice to you? I mean, did you make friends? You know, that
Oh,
that senior year, did you connect with people?
yeah, I did.
Fantastic.
I connected with few, but
Mm,
and the few that I keep close to my heart.
Fantastic.
that's
Nice.
fantastic. So when did you decide to as far as being a published author? When did that path begin for you? And when did
Yes.
you set your sights on getting books released? By you?
Yeah, that actually I decided in 2016. It wasn't long ago. But until then, I had already, like, I was participating in lots of different competitions, speaking competitions as such. Um, and I show a couple of scenes of that in I Am My Language, and then I was judging for the symposiums that I used to participate in on behalf of the Sikh temple, and I used to travel internationally as well to do that. So I had strong oratory skills, and those were good, but I really wanted to get. I always maintained that my heart belonged in the publishing world, and uh, I I guess I just kept doing things and didn't, and I kept maintaining a journal, and that's something I always did, and that's the one thing that always stayed with me. And then it was in 2016, and um, just around COVID happened, that everything was quiet. That
Oh.
I
Hmm.
Yeah, I decided that this is it.
So when did you decide and talk about your road to being a literary
Yes,
agent? That's a
yes. I want to hear a little about
whole
that.
other
Yeah,
ball game.
that's a whole other ballgame.
How
Oh
did that
God.
happen?
Yeah, tell
Oh
us
my
about
God.
that.
Yeah. So, Bob DeForio, he is the CEO of his agency, of the DeForio Literary Agency, and he was the CEO of Penguin back in 1964, even before I was born.
Wow.
And yeah, he lives about 20 minutes away from me in
Nice.
Sarasota. He lives in Lakewood Ranch. And at the time of after I finished, with Kara's Dreams, and it had won these awards and everything, and I was feeling good about it, then I was looking to establish a relationship with an agent, and I reached out to him, and he was receptive, and so I connected, and then we actually met in person, and that's where I shared with him, all of the interesting writing journey that I had, and he was interested to know more. And then, of course, while in the middle of the conversation, it just happened so naturally that he was starting to share with me how inundated he gets with submissions, and he wishes that he had somebody, another pair of eyes still. And he has a couple of agents, but and they're so busy as well. So then when he mentioned it in conversation, that he wishes that he would have somebody else. And I said, oh, maybe, because I love to read, and and I like to be
Why not?
in. I like to be in on things. And after I felt so good about, the results that Kara's Dreams gave me, I said, you know what, it's not enough to just listen to yourself. It's also important to champion others. And that's my way of giving back in many ways, and also, championing voices other than my own. So it's
Right.
very important for me to build a community, and that
Mhm.
was where I was coming from. And that's why I decided to wear this hat. And I embraced the opportunity that Bob DeForio gave me. And here I am. And as a matter of fact, just yesterday, we had an amazing call with Little Brown. As you know, they are a imprint of Hatchet Book Group.
Uh-huh.
And one of my author clients has written an amazing middle grade novel, and they have made her a beautiful offer. It's a very nice offer. And,
Fantastic.
and
Congrats.
we had an amazing,
Congratulations.
thank you so much. We had an awesome Zoom call yesterday, and it went really well. So we now have, we're moving on to the contractual stage now with them. And
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
So let
Yeah.
me ask you this next question, because I know we're going to get a lot after the show, is
Yeah.
what genres do you take? How do people submit to you? And what are your requirements,
Yeah. Query.
for
Yeah. Query.
submission for queries?
Mhm.
yeah, I am actually hopeful that I receive submissions about 10-15 every single day.
Hmm.
It's Ritu at D4EO.com, and you would submit 20 to 30 pages. And then if I like it, then in fact, if I love it, then I would ask for the complete manuscript. And then after that comes the author agreement, and then you're on board, and I make submissions on your behalf to the editors.
So do you want double spacing? Do you
No.
want
Well,
because some people get very specific.
yes. We
They
probably.
want
Yeah.
double
Yeah. Probably
spacing. Some people want like the first three chapters. You said the first 100 pages.
30.
Um,
30
30.
pages, yeah.
30.
okay, the first 30 pages. Um, yes. So how would they submit that to you? Are you very particular with the font or the spacing or anything like that?
No, it should just be professional to look at. And
Okay,
Times New Roman and double spacing is easier on the eyes. So I
there
think
we go.
that's a good idea. And Ritu at Deforio.com, basically. and
Okay.
I don't have a query tracker, but I just receive it directly on my email.
All genres.
Pretty much all of them, other than sci-fi, it goes over my head. And
Okay.
other than paranormal, besides these two, everything from kidlit to adult, all the different genres.
Murder mysteries, all that in
Yeah,
between.
that's right. Because essentially, I'm looking for a story and
Yes.
a story sense. So if it's all there, it speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And nonfiction, of course, because yeah, that's near and dear to
I
your heart.
A nonfiction, not so much.
Not so much. Okay.
I'm not. I only do nonfiction if an existing client does it, but
Okay.
it's all fiction. I Yeah, it's all fiction.
Speculative fiction. Without the sci-fi, without the paranormal aspect.
Yeah, I mean, there is one sprinkling of a little sci-fi in one of the novels that I've just received, and it's really well written.
Okay.
So that works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not just all sci-fi that I won't get drawn to, but
Right.
anything speculative fiction is good. Thrillers
Okay.
are good. Crime, mystery, family, domestic,
Mm-hmm.
or anything kidlit, of course, YA, new age, um, uh, upper middle grade, lower middle grade,
Okay.
picture
Mm-hmm.
books, you know, all of
Fantastic.
those.
That's a
Yeah.
nice.
Now, do you just take queries from the authors themselves, or will you take it from like indie publishers
I just
on
take it from
behalf of their
authors,
authors?
Hmm.
just the authors.
Just the
Okay.
authors, Ollie. Yeah, probably
Okay.
just the authors.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah, definitely.
You never
actually.
know. I'm
Yeah,
asking because
yeah,
people are going
yeah.
to ask me these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I've never. Maybe I've received a screenplay at one point or another, and I do review screenplays as well, but
Okay.
I've not received anything from a publisher yet.
No,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I didn't think you
okay.
would. Yeah, then I definitely.
Normally they don't,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
people
Yeah,
yeah,
ask me
you
sometimes.
never
I'm like,
know.
I don't
yeah,
know. You could
yeah,
try it. I don't. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
you
Just
never know, right? You never know.
That's it.
yeah.
I've actually had authors ask me, should my publisher send it to and I usually tell them, well, I think you should do it on
Mm.
your own, but
Right,
I
right.
don't,
Well,
that's why I
well,
asked.
usually, yeah. When I get asked that, I usually like, well, they probably prefer an unpublished story that has
Yeah,
not been
Yeah,
taken
but a
by.
lot of lot of
Yeah,
lot of literary agents nowadays will take published, they'll ask you to unpublish, of course, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
some of them
Even
will take
Well,
published
I
work.
think that gets more into the self-published realm, and that
Yep.
also then with the factor that some agents are really looking for properties that also can be developed into TV and film, and so a
Well,
few
that's
sometimes
another
you get
thing,
through that.
Ritu. It's
Yeah.
is how do you feel about works that have like they have this world, right? Like it's a say they have a trilogy and they write a novella or a spinoff or whatever. Um, would you be willing to be their agent, or would you ask them, to unpublish those books, and then you would, look on for
Hmm.
them? How
See,
does that work?
I would never be the one to tell anyone what to do.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just that's not my personal philosophy. I always I want to be guided by the author,
Mhm.
and the author has to really make those choices. I don't make
Okay.
choices for anyone. Yeah,
Right.
because it's their
Fair
work.
enough.
They are the master of their own work,
Yep.
and um, I never pass a judgment. I never ever tell anyone what to do. So when they've already produced some piece of work, they've already created it. It's out there in the marketplace. if it's by way of self-publishing or such, the numbers do speak for themselves. Sometimes I do ask them as to how the sales are from those, if they've already been published,
Uh-huh.
um, and and then go by, and then I always discuss it with Bob, to see if this
Mhm.
would be um, something of interest to us, this project, and then we could make that choice or decision at that point. But I'm not the one to make suggestions as to, you know,
Mhm.
anytime, you're not my client yet. You're a potential client. I
Uh-huh.
am not going to be making, suggestions. But once you are my client,
Mhm.
at that point, then yes, then I do make suggestions, and I also, even at that point, I don't like to tell you to undo something that has been done. And one thing about the publishing world, I tell you, that which is done can never be undone. you know,
Right. Right.
um, and that's one thing. That's why we say produce your best work.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely
what is
produce your best work.
that's true. And what is your advice as far as telling baby authors, or maybe authors that's been in the business, that's self-published or indie published for years? What is the best advice you could give them as far as what manuscript, what type, or what they should do to put their best work forward before it gets to you? You know,
Great
what's the
question.
best advice?
Yeah, absolutely great question, because um, I am editorial in my head, but
Okay.
my time is getting more, very limited these days
Mm-hmm.
because I'm being
Hmm.
pulled in different directions. So I would strongly suggest that it go through several, edits, through their critique group first, and then after that, they have any beta readers, or if they want to hire a developmental editor, go
Mhm.
through that and make it as polished as possible before it comes to me. Yeah. And even then, there is no such thing as perfection.
No.
So even at that point, I may see it and I may say that it needs to be tweaked this, that, and this way, and then go back
Mhm.
and work on this one,
Right.
and then you can, send it back to me. Uh, Even if they are my client at that point, I can still, have them do that, and then they can come back, and I will only submit the best work. I will
Mhm.
not submit something that is not polished yet, like to the best of the ability. But then again,
Right.
even the most polished work can still require, once it reaches the editor may think that it needs a little bit more copy editing, maybe here and there, line editing at that
Mhm.
stage, and
Hmm.
that's their work, that's their job. They can do that at that
Right.
stage.
Right.
So,
Well, I've always joked that authors, if they were left to their own device, would be eternally revising their own work.
uh,
if they,
yeah,
if
It would be a never ending, it'd be a hamster in a wheel. It would be
right.
never ending
yeah,
spiral. Yeah.
it
There,
truly would. And
there's more
yeah,
than 20 ways of saying the same thing, right?
yeah, right.
That is so true.
But working as an editor, I know that. Yeah, I always encourage
Yes.
writers. Yeah, you just need to
Uh,
know when it's time to hand it off.
well,
To make it very.
even as a even as an editor, because me and
Yeah.
Stephen are both freelance editors and editors of
Yeah,
our small press. Um, Even as an editor, sometimes I'll get hooked up on a line, just one sentence or two
right.
sentences. And I'm like, oh man, but no, we need, and I'll sit there. Should I add this comma? Shouldn't I add this comma? Does it
Yeah.
sound good with this comma? Or no,
Yeah.
maybe that's not the beat. And you'll sit there and second guess yourself, and then you'll think, just stop this. Just stop this nonsense and put
Yeah.
it where
Yeah.
it sounds best. Why are
Yeah.
you doing
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really intellectually very draining.
Yes, it can be. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
But now, where can folks follow you as an author? Because we've been talking a little bit about your literary side, but I do want to give folks where to find you as an author, and so they can check out your literary work, your own work.
Yeah, they can visit my website, https rituzstoryteller.com, RITUZA storyteller.com.
Great. And do you have well, of course, we can't wait to meet you in person next summer at our 13th
Yeah.
year of Imaginarium.
And we're going to
But
drag our author and friend Victish. We're going to drag him
Vitas, yeah,
because,
yeah,
yes, he would
yeah,
love to sit and talk to you. He
yeah,
would love
he would
this.
love to talk with you for sure.
Yes.
But I was going to ask you though, what other events do you have coming up that you might want to highlight that for especially with your new book coming out soon?
Yeah, I don't have a launch date yet for I Am My Language. I don't exactly know when it will be out. Um, but there is a event in Sarasota that I would like to do. It's most probably going to be at a school, and then also at Senior Friendship Center. They have invited me, and then next year in New York City, I've been invited to the Thrill Writers Conference. This is their third time inviting me. That's usually a very big deal. Um, uh, the biggest New York Times best-selling authors they attend
Yeah.
that,
Oh yes.
and
Yeah.
so that's happening in May next year. Um, and then of course the Imaginarium, um, and then SCBWI, uh, they invited me to do a virtual um, 3 days with them, and that's in February
In
next year.
February.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it sounds like the schedule is starting to build up, and definitely when the new book comes out, yeah, you're probably going to get very busy for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope the book is out by the time of Imaginarium because I definitely want to get
Yes.
a copy of this. It
Thank
sounds
And
you.
and then
just
I am going to
wonderful.
make time. I don't if I have to procure you away, but yeah, I'm going to make time because we've got to sit down and have a chat. I adore you, and
Yeah,
yes, we have to chat. I want to
yeah,
pick your brain.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
have a great story, and I've loved hearing about everything tonight. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Thank
I know
you
that
for sharing.
we
Thank
just
you.
had an
Yes.
hour, a little over an
Thank
hour to cover a lot of stuff with you, and I
Mm,
feel like we could probably talk for another 5 hours,
2 hours, yeah, at least, yeah.
or more.
thank you.
But it's
Yeah.
you have a fantastic story, and I'm definitely think your books sound fantastic, and gonna have to get the new one
Fascinating.
for sure when it comes out. So keep us posted for sure, because
I will.
Yes.
we'll
Um,
definitely help spread the word. And
yes.
but I will,
Thank,
I will turn you over to Holly to close things out. But thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight and being such a wonderful guest.
thank you. Thank you for having me. It was amazing to talk to both of you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Well, thank you, Ritu, and I truly cherish that you. I feel honored that you have shared your story with so many, and that you talked about it tonight. And I know it's painful but bittersweet, and things you've brought the good out of it. You've taken something that was tragic, but yet you've turned it around like the monarch butterfly, right? And you transformed it
Mhm.
into something beautiful, and I find that commendable.
Thank
I
you. Thank,
kudos.
thank you so much.
Thank you, and I can't wait to meet you. And yes, keep us updated, please, so we can
Yeah,
share your story.
definitely. Thank you.
You have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Everyone out in listener land, check her books out. Check her literary agency out. Join us next Wednesday night, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Another great guest, another great chat. For the rest of the week, be creative. Good night, all.